Lost him again. Maybe he's going to go find the cheese. Um, so I'm still not sure how well this is going to come together as I talk to carry over the dead air as Ken has dropped off. But yeah, might need to actually go in person and actually record this, as I mentioned before. But if not, I probably will keep this up in some sort of form, edit and see what we can make out of this one. It's been a good conversation so far. But let's see. This is I Know Great People, and thank you first for taking time to participate in this. Both Ken here, who's going to be talking to us here, and also y'all for watching out there. And this is my intention with this series is to share information about what people do versus what we think they do. And I want to bridge the gap between perception and knowledge, as I believe that the more we know about ourselves, the greater the things we can accomplish. And with I Know Great People, I'm doing this, but this is now like a sub-series of I Know Great People that is launching this partnership collaboration that I'm doing with Artiv that Ken will be telling us a bit more about. Rachel has been on here to talk to us about that. We're starting a series of studio visits on July 31st, 2026. So if you're here in Nairobi, do hit us up and please come and join and see that place and see how we can do this. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this now. Ken, can you tell us about what you're going to be talking to us about here, the apprenticeship thing that you've done going into, well, you said internship. We talked before, it just didn't work on the audio too well. We're working with some connection issues. But yeah, so Ken, can you tell us a bit about who you are, how we met, and what you're doing at Artiv?
Okay, yeah, my name is Ken. I'm a visual artist and an art teacher. Yeah, I love drawing, painting, and exploring different art techniques. Yeah, I'm also excited to work. I'm also excited to work with Artiv Hub. Yeah, and also I'm ready to work with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
help. Yeah. I'm ready to help and develop creativity. Yeah,
yeah.
and make art classes enjoyable and inspiring. Yeah.
So with Ken, as I mentioned, I met Mwatika through my work with 1 Million Thriving Artists, and then he told me about Artiv. Then I came to Artiv and I met Rachel, who we've had a talk with. We'll have a talk with Mwatika soon, and then I met Ken when he was there. And Ken, you have a, I think it's a relatively interesting background. Just first of all, he's half my age. We established this in the previous one, but he decided to just come up and decide I want to be a professional creative. And from somebody with my mentality, which was not positive of this isn't there, this can't work in this industry, in this country, he had a different mentality and he said, I'm going to make it work. So can you tell us a bit about how you found Artiv, why you decided to take on the internship, and how you've turned that now into accepting the teaching role and the role that you have there now?
Okay. It was kind of funny, but let me say to the list, I was back in school. We had that list. We had to choose where we want to be, where we want to take our internship, and then I had a bit of choices. So I tried to call other galleries, art galleries, but they didn't. They just said they don't have a space. But at some time, I tried to call the Artiv space, and this is what they told me that I should take a part in it, do my attachment over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they accept, they accept, they accepted it, and that's now when I started. That was taking 3 months. Yeah, 3 months. That's where I found Rachel as the director. I also found Matika. I also found some members like also David. Yeah, and yeah, that's it.
That's good. So how many years ago was that? Was that recent or when was that?
What? Come
When
again?
was that? How many years ago was that? Was that like when did you start this process?
So you're trying to say when I started my internship, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started my internship on the beginning of this year, 2026,
Okay.
on January. That's
Nice.
that's when I joined Artiv. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
now
when
he's
I
already
started my internship. Yeah, that's when I started my internship from January up to March. And then after finishing the internship, that's now where I joined as a in-home. Yeah, that's when I joined it.
right.
I became a full-time teacher. Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us two to three things about what a potential creative would like about taking an internship like you're doing and then also teaching other creatives or teaching teaching art and being part of that industry?
Okay, two to three things. What I can really say for the first thing, I want to inspire creativity. Yeah, I believe everyone has a creative potential, and I enjoy helping students discover and develop their artistic abilities. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's one. The second thing, I enjoy sharing my knowledge and skill. Teaching by teaching allows me to pass whatever I learn and help others improve on their confidence and their artistic techniques. Yeah, that's really what I can say. Yeah. I want to make up. Art is more than drawing and painting.
Yeah.
What I actually can say, it helps people express themselves, their feelings, what they think, and build their confidence. Uh, part, yeah, yeah, that's what I can say, by taking their creativity out of them and placing them on canvas and whatever. Yeah, that's what I can say. That's
Okay.
what I want to create the impact on them.
Good, good. Um, Now, next is this one. Now, I guess is something more common that I think creatives everywhere or people who are trying to get a creative to pick up creativity, learn it for themselves, but also do that professionally. There's what are two to three challenges or two to three things that people may not like about um, having that process of taking that chance of okay, I'm going to be enter the field of creativity. I'm going to pursue this as a pastime. I'm going to be involved in that industry. What are some negatives that you think people may see about that, may not know about that process?
Let me say this. The worst challenge I can say is that, meeting different for driving artists. Sometimes artists really don't like sharing much of them. Yeah, that's one big challenge I can say, because there are some that they are on their, let me say, they are they are on their own class, that I can say.
Mhm.
So they really don't mind about those who are here down. So trying to reach them is a bit tricky. That's the challenge I can say right now. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge I can say, because trying to reach them it's a bit challengeable. Yeah,
That is a good point. That's a good point that you make there.
that's the biggest challenge.
Like there is one thing of just being a creative and you get into your own mind and you just focus on a project and you detach from other people in that way, like a hermit. But what you're saying is a different level where somebody might be like, I have my method, I've built myself up, and they could be reticent to reach out to other creators or to collaborate with other people? You're like, this is my story, this is my creativity, this is my project. And there's that reticence of like, what do I stand to gain from actually letting somebody, other creators see my process or join them? Like, am I taking away, taking away from my vision? I think, yeah, is that kind of what you think is part of that? Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, that's really positive for you to come in already from the start with the mentality that you want to develop your art while sharing it with other people from the break. So that's something commendable. It's a good way of approaching creativity. Like you grow the creative industry. Yeah. Hmm, good point. Okay, so next question would be, what do you think? Like, what occupations are the opposite of what you do? Like, imagine there was, do you know like Superman when there's like Bizarro world, where there's like an opposite world or the mirror world where it's like this is you in this universe. But if there was a universe where it was an opposite of who you were, what do you think you'd be doing in that opposite universe?
Come up again, the options you give.
Now, I was saying, what is there any occupation or pastime that is the opposite of what you do? And I was just using the example of Superman. In the Superman universe, there's a Bizarro universe where it's like everything is opposite, or the mirror universes and things. So imagine there was a version of you that's completely opposite from what you're doing today. What would that thing be? Like, what are the jobs out there that would be like that? Question might not be that clear.
Okay, to the opposite thing, I can say, let me say, I love exploring many things.
Mhm.
Art being one of them, but let me say, if I was not doing art at this time, I would also be doing music. That's it.
Okay.
I would explore in music. Yeah, yeah. I would explore in music. Now, when you're saying the opposite side,
Mhm.
and yeah, yeah, that's really what I can say.
So what would be the opposite of exploration? Do you think like there's pastimes where there's like very limited, where it's very rigid, where you can't do much, you just have to do things in one particular way, but with art you can expand and create. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Okay. And okay, so what is one of the misconceptions about what you do? So this is, let's say I was coming in to teach and I thought it's going to be like this and this. Like when you started taking on the we can break it up to first the internship, and then we can break it up to the teaching after that. So when you took on the internship, did you think it was going to be a certain way and then you were proven wrong? Like, what were you wrong about being an intern at the creative industry, in the creative industry?
So can you come up again, please? Come up again.
Yeah, just are they things you expected and they didn't happen, or were they some things you thought, okay, this was going to be there, then you started teaching or you started doing the internship, like, oh wow, it's actually easier, or oh wow, this is harder. Like, what did you think was going to happen versus what happened? You know.
Okay, okay. What I can say is that after when I was doing the internship, what I was really expecting is that after I'm done with my internship, I was not really much exposed to teaching. That's what I can say, because I was hoping after after finishing the internship, I was thinking of becoming a street artist. I didn't
Okay.
see I didn't see much opportunities in art, like being an art teacher. Uh, I was not also exposed to much of galleries.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really didn't know about the galleries, and to the help of through the help of Motika and Rachel, that's when I started seeing the vision of becoming a better artist, a good teacher. That's it. Yeah, and they gave me the way. So they give me the pathway. That's what I can say. Yeah, the pathway.
That's great. And that kind of transitions into the next question, which is We have okay, so this one is about courses and classes because you said you thought of being a street artist, but where were you studying before when you took the internship? Because you said you were in a program that said you do an internship after. Where were you studying and what were you studying?
Studying at Buruburu Institute of Fine Arts.
Hmm.
That's where I took my course in. That's where I took my course in fine arts back in 2025. Yeah, that's where I started my art journey.
Cool.
But before I was also I was before but before joining the school, I was also doing art. Yeah, that's when I wanted to upgrade my art. Yeah, yeah.
Huh. So okay, now with being a street artist, like, can you explain a bit what that means in your when you say you're thinking of being a street artist? What does that encompass? Like graffiti, or like what was that going to be? Painting like kiosks or going through the matatu painting? Like what was street artist? What does what does that mean?
Okay, to me, what really comes in my mind when I say street artist is that I see some artists doing the branding on shops, canteens,
Mm-hmm.
doing, yeah. Some are doing some murals, matatu graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I really saw as the street art. Yeah, because I didn't really mind. Well, whatever I just saw is that some in my community I just saw some artists, street artists, what they really done.
Mm-hmm.
They painted on shops, on murals, on walls. That's where
Yeah.
they express themselves now. Yeah, yeah. But now I also wanted really much to become a matatu artist. Yeah.
Yeah, you still can though. Like there's no
So
reason to not do that. You can still do that.
yeah, yeah, I really wanted to do art in matatus. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I. But I came to learn that it's not a must to be you do that kind of art. So whatever you just need it is to be directed on the right path. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you become a good artist and knowing what you wanted to do, and by the help of the people that by the help of people that I guide that are guiding you are the ones that are going to show you the right path and the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I think I've been taking for granted. I, if I actually analyze my life, I think part of the challenges I had was not seeing other people be successful in certain artistic pursuits. So I thought if nobody else is doing it, I'm not able to do it. So I should also better understand like just having a few people here and there sharing what they're doing. And that's part of why I thank you, Ken, for participating in the series. Thank you, Artiv, for the studio visits that we're doing. I think there is a benefit from just showing people. Yes, don't just assume because somebody is creative, they're able to imagine themselves doing things that they can't. We still also need that the community of other creators who support each other. Oh, by the way, you can do this, or by the way, this option is there. And in Kenya, like you said, one of the most visual versions of art is you see the matatus, you see the kiosks, you see some murals here and there. That's the most visual depictions of art, so it makes sense that people would think that's where we focus on. Meanwhile, I think you can attest to this, Ken, when you came to Artiv, you noticed that, okay, there's actually a bigger community here. Yes, you said there's some challenges of reaching out to certain artists, but at the same point, I've had the same experience the last 2 years getting more into the creative community here in Kenya. The industry is massive. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things. We just don't talk to each other. We just don't publicize it when we're doing art, which inherently has that aspect of you're supposed to show somebody and see how they interact with it. But then we spend time, like for me, I spend time just doing stuff and keeping it to myself and not putting it out there and sharing with other creatives and things like that. And that's what we want to do with Artiv and this partnership and this relationship that we're building up together. But yeah. So I commend you. I commend you for actually going out there and actually doing it and actually being in there. And like, I'm good to hear. Like Bora Bora Institute, you should actually participate in this, Ken. Now that you're part of I Know Great People, get other people that you know of, get them in the interview series, and you can record your own and you can post them up, and we can grow this together. Okay. So the next
Yeah,
question
yeah.
is, it'd be interesting to see those Bora Bora people. Okay, so the next question. This is the most important question of this whole questionnaire. And is it, do you like cheese? And if yes, which type of cheese do you like? And if no, you're a horrible person, but you could be lactose intolerant or maybe just haven't had some cheese. But yeah, do you like cheese?
About cheese, cheese.
Yeah.
So about cheese, what I can really say is that
Do you like it, first of all? You know, what to do. Is it like, do you not like it? Because in some cuisines, it's just not a regular thing. But for me, I just really like cheese. Do you like cheese?
yeah, I like cheese. I like cheese. Yeah, I
Okay.
like cheese.
Okay, so what are your favorite dishes with cheese? What's your favorite kind of cheese? The cheese is just a good thing. It's just an amazing thing, cheese. I don't know why. It's just something excellent about it.
So favorite kind of cheese. Favorite.
Lost him again. Maybe he's going to go find the cheese. Um, so I'm still not sure how well this is going to come together as I talk to carry over the dead air as Ken has dropped off. But yeah, might need to actually go in person and actually record this, as I mentioned before. But if not, I probably will keep this up in some sort of form, edit and see what we can make out of this one. It's been a good conversation so far. But let's see. But for now, we can go on to. Oh, you didn't tell me what was your favorite cheese dish?
Oh, so my favorite cheese, as I can say, is the cheddar. The
Okay,
cheddar.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good staple. It's a good staple to go with. But as I mentioned with Rachel, I might try to bring some burrata. It's not burrata, mozzarella, it's buffalo mozzarella. It's, I think for me, it's buffalo mozzarella and no, actually burrata, which is a form of buffalo mozzarella. I forgot the name when I was talking to Rachel about it. That one I don't have access to because it's still in Italy. But halloumi cheese is really good. I suggest everyone tries it. My friend, I think my friend Steven told me about this. He was the first person on I Know Great People. He told me about it, and I've been a fan of it for over a decade now. Not over a decade, since I was introduced to it about almost a decade ago now. But yeah, it's this cheese you can fry, you can roast.
So 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 what you really say is that you really like it, yeah?
Yes,
You've been
yes.
trying it for a
I
long
mean,
time.
yes,
Yeah.
just cheese in general. But yeah, halloumi is up there. You can do a lot of different things with it. Okay. So the last question here on the main part of the questionnaire is just anything else to add about what you're doing, what the internship, teaching at Artiv. You tell us a bit about the salary or the people you get to meet, just anything else you just want to tell us about this, the experience with students, interacting. How is your friends and family taking your new your choice in doing this? Like, what's just anything else you want to add before we finish up?
Uh, okay, what I can really say, a very funny thing is that one of my family member just asked me that, is it the same route you want to take? Is it the right route you want to take, being an artist? So they really laughed at me, and what I can say is that that's what I decided, and that's what came out of me, because I really saw the potential by meeting many people. Let me say, since I met Mwatika, he has really shown me the way. The networking has been very strong. Through
Mhm.
Mwatika is now when I knew you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it were not Matika, I would have not known as many people as I know now, because I also joined the caricature Kenya.
Hmm.
That's where Matika also shown me where now I can just do some caricature. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll have Motika
So
on to talk about that
yeah.
stuff.
So what I can say through Matika and Rachel, I've really been exposed to many people and many events by the knowing many people. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think that's the very best thing I've just done through this the entire time I've been with them. Yeah, that's the really thing, the best thing I've been that I've come up. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Yeah. That's great.
So also by interacting with different students, I can say, let me say, through interacting with them, I can just learn whatever they know, and also what I know. I'm a, what I know. I just share with them the knowledge, the skill, and whatever they know, they also share with me. That's what I really love. Yeah, that's what I really love.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's it for the main questions. And as I mentioned at the start, we are starting a studio visit series with 1 Million Thriving Artists where we will be going to different locations and seeing how other creators are working. And just as Ken had said, just the ability of seeing some of these things will spark out ideas of things that you could possibly do with your life. The possibilities will be increased. And also, you can also participate with Artiv itself, just like Ken did. He just went to Artiv to learn, to intern, and then now he's using Artiv as a platform now to help other people learn creativity and increase their creativity. And that's one of the offerings that will be going on at the Artiv studio visit. They'll show kind of the process of what they do at Artiv and open up the chance for creatives to sign up for courses or be like Ken and not just be a consumer, but also a producer of whatever Artiv is doing there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with the last three questions, now we're on the last three. Like, do you have any questions for me about anything that we've talked about, or just any question that's on your mind?
Okay. So I have a question on you yourself. Did you want to do art, or you just found yourself doing it? Did it come from you, or
Okay, one thing I've been telling people is this: the like we all have some sort of creativity. Like you were saying at the start, everyone has that creative spark in them, and I think there is that aspect. This life in general is creative. It's creative. Your genes, they take some code and they create and they duplicate and they create yourself. Like we are creative beings. Existence is creativity or something like your time. So there's that aspect at the base level of the atoms. We are creative beings. Then now when you go to the sentience, you go to other things. Yes, there's a higher level of that. So I think we all have that desire to create, even just reproduction. That's creating. Life reproduces. So that's the underlying nonsense of all of it. It's not nonsense, it's kind of true. But then with myself, with what I'm doing, I can definitely be more successful at doing it by having the mentality like you did, be like, let's go in there, let's take the internship, let's actually be in the teaching, let's grow this thing. But for me, most people had something creative as they were kids. And then as we grew up, many of us stopped for some very real reasons, some not as significant, but you can pick it up, you will. I just happened to not stop. Like with traveling around, I think for me, just having a sketchbook around, having some way to try to make sense of what was going on, art was a good way for me to do that. And I was able to maintain that. And I had certain things, okay, I can't do this job here. I can't live in this way. So it's like, okay, what can you do that you can do wherever? That's art, that's uniquely me. So I think I was kind of drawn to that in that sense where that's something I've been pursuing, not as successfully as I could. I've definitely not been trying as hard as I should. And that's the process that I'm involved with now with talking to people like you, getting in touch with Artiv and building these things up so we can build this creative industry together. And we can all get to that thriving position. Does that even an answer? I don't know.
The next question I really wanted to ask is that how has been your experience throughout this journey? And to, so I'm an upcoming. I've not really done that. That's I've not really done much of teaching. That's what I can
Mhm.
say. But Matika just told me that you are sometime you're a teacher at, is it Kenyatta University or UON?
Yeah, Kenyatta University. That was, yeah. We get to the end of this, I have some thanks once more to Ken for bearing with me as I tried to sort this system out. The connection wasn't as good. I need to do better at getting it set up, getting these things recorded, sorting out the Zoom or whatever system we're going to be using to do this. But thank y'all also for listening and bearing with me until this point. But I also wanted to say here that there is another secondary purpose of doing I Know Great People besides my own projects and getting this series up and again and going. This is also a part to highlight this collaboration I'm doing together with 1 Million Thriving Artists, which is a creative collaborative community that I was a part of starting here in Nairobi, Kenya last year. And now we're starting to do a studio visit series, and Artiv Hub has been gracious enough to be the first one of these series on July 31st, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The schedule is going to be 10 a.m. registration, networking, music and welcome, then 10:20 icebreaker and introductions, 10:35 about Artiv, 11 o'clock opportunities through Artiv, then you have a tea break at 11:30. 11:45 is going to be a creative paint session led by Rachel. Ken's probably going to be helping. Matika is going to be helping. Then there's going to be an open discussion at 12:45 with next steps at 1:20. And I might have something to add with the next steps tying into animation and something else that I've been doing with this answer that's going to come here from the question that Ken had just asked. With 1:45, there's a group photo in closing. The location is at Ndemi Lane, which is off of Ngong Road. You can find it on Google Maps. If you can take a bus, you can find your way out there. You can drop you, I think, by Junction or something. You can take one up and down Gong Road, or you can find it on Uber or any other ride sharing. They should be. Artiv is actually on the map, so they'll be able to drop you off right there. So please come check it out. And for now, I'm going to get back into this. And again, another apology because me not sorting this system out. When we came back for the second part of this answer, I forgot to record because I had some system set up where initially if I was using the meeting setup, it would automatically record. Got used to that, got in, got off the call, and just didn't record. So I recorded a bit something to kind of answer the question and going into that now. Thank you all once again. In the last section, coming back from the conversation I was having with Ken, we came back onto Zoom, and I forgot to do the recording. I had things set where, anyway, it was just about me messing up and not actually hitting record in that last section. So instead of getting back in with a connection that's not necessarily working, I'll just answer the question he was asking about my experience teaching here in Kenya, because I had the experience back there. And I'll try to reiterate what I told him. And it's pretty much that I failed at actually researching and seeing what the dynamics were here in Kenya, what I was working with in that university, in that situation. Mentally, I wasn't in the right place. Assumed too much about my previous experience living in the United States of America and then learning in the schools there, the dynamic between adults and children and the schools and the expectations and the limitations that you have, the access to certain resources, where the kids are coming from. Like you have some kids coming from Nairobi who've been exposed to certain things, some people coming from the village who haven't been exposed to certain things, or vice versa, because even in the village, you could be exposed to certain things that people in Nairobi. So there's just aspects of that where I did not prepare myself enough to put up a system, even though I think that system is limited. So I didn't do that in a good enough way. So when I got to the school, it had certain limitations for myself and also the structure. So I didn't really experience that. But that was 10 years ago. And now, since then, I've seen things like what Ken is experiencing. He was at the Bora Bora Institute of Design. Then from there, they had the system where it's like, okay, you're teaching here, you're learning here together, but you should still go get an actual internship. And that reflects the experience I had back in college in Wheeling, West Virginia, when we had certain courses I wasn't as keyed in, the same way how some of the students weren't as keyed in as others when I was trying to teach them at Kenyatta University. But I wasn't keyed into certain things. But then we got to graphic design 3, And I remember when we did that, we actually talked to people in Wheeling area to actually do design for their companies. And I was way more keyed in because you're actually talking to someone, you're creating something that will exist out there. So that sort of experience engaged me more. And then now you see in this Institute of Design is deciding instead of just learning in the classroom, go out there and find internships to actually work with people already in the creative industry. And then through that means you'll be able now to actually learn more, to interact more, and be engaged more. And that led to Ken doing that at Artiv and now actually teaching at Artiv. And then when you go to Artiv, it's the sort of environment where they can be with you in a personal basis. And as Rachel had said in the conversation with them, and develop around. You meet people like Matika, who's a professional creative out there, very successful, a hustler, going out there doing the caricature, starting things, meeting people, networking. So you're already in the network, already building that up already by doing the experience in that. And I think with the creative fields, that is one of the unique ones where in most jobs, when you graduate from the school is not necessarily the environment you're going to be actually in, like when you're in the office. Most people will take you on and you'll train and learn in that process. But I think the creative field is so much more important to do that, where you actually go and you learn with actually creators in a creative environment, exploring different ways to teach and to learn. And through that process, he was able to plug in and just be part of that. And you're not just dealing with the different dynamics that you have, where someone's like, oh, mini mzee, weni kijana, lazima unisikie. That whole point where it's like there's some cultural aspects here in Kenya that's even further of the people who are older have a seniority where they just talk down or tell the people, the students, the younger students, a certain way where you have to do things in this sort of way. That's not really conducive, I think, to all sorts of learning in general, but specifically in the creative arts where he's teaching stuff, but you have older people coming and learning from him. He's already talking about learning from the students in that kind of sense. So there's an open sort of thing that I don't necessarily see that happening in many more traditional teaching environments here in Kenya and other places in the world where it's just you being taught down to you, just being plugged into a certain system. So Artiv doesn't have that. Artiv has this more open system. And as I mentioned, we're doing the studio visit. So I really hope that many of y'all can come down to the studio visit if you're listening to this before July 31st, 2026. It's off of Ngong Road. I'm forgetting the name of the actual place, in Dema Lane, I think. But there's going to be links below where you can find that. It'll be the first one doing that together with 1 Million Thriving Artists, but there will be more studio visits. If you miss this first one, we're going to have studio visits with other people. If you are a creative that has a studio, has some workspace, and you actually want to find some time to actually come in and talk to us and see if we can organize these visits where we can come and see what you're doing. If there's places you're interested in seeing, let me know as well. Let us know as well. And then we can contact those people and see if we can set up something like that with them. Because I'm seeing a lot of people doing this in the creative space. The creative space is really exploding here in Kenya. And it's thanks to people like Rachel at Artiv. It's thanks to people like Matika going out there and networking and being out there, like talking to people, going to events, doing the caricature, letting people see there's a value in art. It's thanks to people like Ken, who are not just saying like, oh, I don't see this, like my horrible mentality of the past. As a creative, I should have thought that as a creative, let me create the thing I can't see. But there is still a benefit from actually going out there and seeing what other people have created. But Ken decided, let me actually go forward, pursue this, despite what some people, like I think he had said in the second part that might not have been recorded, that he had a family member kind of mock him and laugh at him, like, what are you doing? Like, is this something you're doing? But he's done it, and now he's actually getting out there and starting these a lot further ahead than I was at that age, like thinking like, this is something I'm going to do. This is something I'm dedicating myself to. This is something I'm going to make my space with. I'm going to create my creative opportunities in this. So that's really very admirable from what I saw Ken do there. So let me see. Is there anything else I'm forgetting from the things that I said with the rambles and whatnot that was going on? But no, so with this, I know great people, like I said, it's a project where I'll try to get Ken back on for other topics. I think the street art something would be something very interesting. We can go like an on-site. That could be one of the studio visits to actually plan and go see where the matatus are painted. I think that would be a cool thing to do. And Ken might be in his element to kind of guide that. So I'll talk to him a bit about that. But he'll be on for other series, and I'm encouraging him to get the Buru Institute of Art and other people he's interested in as part of this series as well. And with the last 3 questions of this, it's more like he had questions for me. So he gave me those 2 questions. And then the next one was, do you have questions for anyone else who's may answer this questionnaire or maybe reading or listening to your answers? Now, this is also a question to y'all. He didn't really have any. He said he would come back to me with these questions if he thinks of any. But this is also to the listeners out there. First of all, thank y'all for listening. If you're listening, are there certain people that you think would be good for I Know Great People? Is there certain questions or ways that you think I should do better at actually getting this I Know Great People out? What is something that would make you more likely to participate in I Know Great People? Or what are things that you think would get more value out of the people who decide to come? What questions can I add? What format can I change around to do this? And also just in general, like, is there other people in particular that you might want certain jobs and certain things, certain ways of asking them that I can search out? Because it might be someone I might have thought like, I know somebody who flies helicopters, but is that really something interesting? But if like two or three people like, I want to understand what flying helicopters is in like Kenya, I'll search those people out more actively. So this is a participatory thing. I want you all to participate in it. I know greatpeople.carbon33.com. For now, you can check that out. The link, if the links have changed, I'll try to update that somewhere. But I know great people. You can search that. You'll find the link somehow. And you can also see the questions, take the questionnaire, submit the questions. You can start recording your own videos. You can take part of this project. And then the last one was the random question. So now the way this works was when Ken brings those questions in, he'll be in part of the database and everybody else will be part of a database of where this last question, you can take a random or requested question. So the next time Ken is on, let's say somebody had said, oh, I want to learn more about what it's like to be a teacher at Artiv or to be a street artist in Kenya. Then Ken, due to his process of maybe now participating more in street art, this might be a year or so further on, or it might be from the research that he's done, he'll be able to say, okay, let me take a requested question, and somebody requested a question from Ken. So the next time he's on, he would take this question and he would answer the question then. That's kind of how I'm thinking of this. Another one is a random question, and we went with random questions where it was these hypotheticals, which is something my brother got me for one of my birthdays. And I'm using this for now, but also figure out some way to get more random questions. And I'm going to pick one out here. I'm just going to shuffle through these hypotheticals. And he agreed that I send him the question and then he will record it and answer the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the question now. Like, they're kind of like cardish, but they're not like fully on like cards. I guess you probably could like do the thing like shuffle like actual cards. Full on shuffling and do like the split. Yeah, can you actually do like probably do the full on thing? But yeah, so I'll read the question here, and then I will cut to the recording of Ken answering the question. Okay, industry standard. This should be interesting. We're talking about industries here. Okay. You are inside a very particular rock club. This should be good because he said he would get into music. Yeah, I'll probably have him on for music as well. I wonder what kind of music he's interested in performing or making. Okay. You are inside a very particular rock club. For whatever reason, the manager of this club demands that all his musical acts must take an extensive IQ test before he will allow them to perform. Tonight, there are two acts on the bill. They coincidentally share the same band name, the industry standard. Both bands are alleged to be awesome. Sadly, you only have 1 hour to spend at the club due to another obligation. And the intermission between the two acts is very long, so you can't watch both. You ask the manager which version of the industry standard should you watch. I have no idea, he says. But I will tell you this. The first band has the highest test scores I've ever seen. Anywhere. Each member of the band is technically a genius. One guy scored higher than Marilyn once was savant. Conversely, the band playing second had some of the worst scores ever recorded. One member might actually be illiterate. However, I halfway suspect they were all drunk and mocking the entire process. I couldn't tell for sure. So which version of industry standard do you decide to see? The ones that were geniuses that took the test seriously, or the ones who might be ignoramuses or might have just been drunk washing it off?
So, based on this question, I would choose the second band, the second version. My reason being is I would choose the second version of the industry standard because the IQ does not score or does not determine the music talent. since the second band may have deliberately failed in the test. So their scores are unreliable, and they could still be an amazing band. I'd rather judge them by their music rather than by their IQ test. Yeah, that's what.
Thank you, Ken, for sending that in. On to my answer now.
So I'm against the trope of mad geniuses. They don't. People who are smart generally avoid like super negative things. Doesn't mean they can't do them. But when it comes to creativity, how much does IQ go into it? Like, there's also another thing. I don't like that trope of, oh, like the suffering artist. The artist must be like in do dire straits. Like you have the people like Van Gogh. This is something that I go to over and over again, in part due to that beautiful Doctor Who episode where they get Van Gogh and then he sees the work done and he gets taken to a gallery show that was doing a Van Gogh exhibit, and then William Nye, good actor. I remember first seeing him in Underworld, but he's done a wide range of things, and he's just like somebody who was an art critic, and he was just talking about art and Doctor Who, and I forget who the redhead companion was at that time, but she was also in Jumanji with The Rock and Jack Black. Anyway, so it was an episode. It's a beautiful scene. Definitely should watch it. Where he goes and then the person's talking about how amazing Van Gogh is, like the greatest artist ever, like this and that. And then you see like Van Gogh, like then he's kind of listening off and he just kind of cries like, to see how people were embracing his art. And then like the guy sees him and is like, is that no, it can't be. But the guy goes off and then they take him back to his time period. But then unfortunately with like, some spoiler, it might be some spoiler stuff, but most people are aware of this episode. It's a very well watched clip. But then he ends up taking his life anyway. And one of the things I'm kind of thinking is like Van Gogh created what he did despite the depression that he had, and that's what creatives do. It's somebody has the creative ability, and for whatever circumstances in their life, they've developed that. And some people get to the ability to try to work through or express their life experience through that. And I think some intense depression or some intense negative situations can lead to such an intense depiction, but that's due to the person in that kind of way. Like these basketball players who happen to have the body and they're tall and due to circumstances, they end up playing basketball. Some of the people have a happy family, like a Steph Curry type of person. He comes from a pretty happy family and whatnot. He's really good at basketball and he plays for that and he's driven to that to support for his family, be as good as he can, and he can do amazing things. Then you probably have some other people who come from a really tough background. They were like doing this, they're relying, like I'm driving because I don't want to have my kids to have the negative background I had. I'm coming from the hood. I'm coming from this situation that's not quite comfortable. My dad wasn't there, or my mom wasn't there, or I was looked down upon. So this is the thing that's going to drive my fire. But they still have the physical ability, and that person might also be able to achieve like really great things in basketball. So they might still be able to express those things. And I think that's how it is on the arts as well. People are able to do what they did despite Van Gogh was able to do what he did despite his depression, not due to it. We don't know what kind of amazing things Van Gogh would have been able to create if he worked himself out of the depression and he just lived like a long life. He might have thought of new ways of doing things, or he might not have. Maybe he would have raised a kid that would have done even more things because he was able to impart the creativity and let that creativity grow in a way that people back then might not have been as supportive. But because he knew the background of it, the struggles he had, he'd be like, I'm not going to do that with my kid. And his kid might learn from Van Gogh from a young age. And what would that kid be able to do to grow up as Van Gogh being your dad? So anyway, that just goes to say that with this question, rather than the IQ, like if the people were drunk, I would rather listen to the IQ people because I'm like, okay, in my estimation, when you go into drugs and things like that, that could have some bias. I think that might be covering up certain things. I don't think it's part of like the creativity just be like a drunkard, especially a rock band. I know they have that kind of sort of mentality to do it. But no, I don't think that would be a thing there. I think I would be more, if they were just taking it on seriously and they were just kind of joking around and doing it, then I think I would listen to the industry standard people who brushed it off, who were just like, okay, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. If they were mocking it in that sense, I would rather listen to the mocking people. If they were drunk because they're drunkards and have more issues in that kind of way, I would listen to the IQ people because then I'd think like, okay, maybe they were just like, we're trying to get some sort of, we're trying to break this down and analyze what music is, music theory is, and create mixtures and sounds that fit a certain algorithm. So it'd be interesting to see what would they approach it if they approach music and creativity in that kind of way, but they're both good. What would be the kind of thing? I don't know. So yeah, if the people were brushing it off because they were drunk, I would be more suspicious of that drunk background and want to listen to the people who are actually potentially soberly going in and doing like a more like intellectual version of trying to express creativity. If it was a situation where the first group was just mocking it, being like, this is ridiculous, why does an IQ test have to do with me performing at your place? Then I would listen to the people who were just mocking it because they might have been just as smart and also have some things and seen through it. I don't know. That's kind of a cop-out of an answer, but that's that's my creation. That's my answer for industry standard. But that's it for now. With this, ended off with just Ken had a nice sign off, and unfortunately I messed up by not recording that. We also had the internet connection issues, but with that, at the end he was talking about some of the things he wanted to add was just how you go in there and don't give up on that creativity thing. I wish I hadn't given up, and I didn't give up completely because I still was doing stuff, but I could have done more by sharing some of the stuff. I was thinking with his age, there's some projects like my daily art that I'm doing, the daily sketches I'm doing on the Power and People Girls, which is a story based off of Powerpuff Girls. And then I also started the project of, the first time I did Carbon, the first design I did of Carbon was in school, based off of Final Fantasy. Then I changed it into my own kind of story. And I think that was back in like 2005, 2006. So technically that Carbon project, definitely the initial drawings I did of that based on Power and People Girls I'm doing now was back in high school. So I've had projects that I've been thinking of doing and haven't actually put out there, tested them in the market, shared them with other creatives, seen who can help me to do these things, have enough confidence in myself to actually go out there and create and put those things out there and follow through and actually complete certain of these projects for longer than he's been alive. And already he's gotten to the situation where he's like, okay, I want to be this. Okay, I can't be that yet, but I'm doing this. I'm actionably going out there and using his human actions to do that. And that is so admirable for him, man. That's what he was saying. Just don't let your dreams be dreams. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it. So he was talking about just doing that. And that's a key thing with Artiv, also with Rachel. I've seen that with Watika. He's just a guy who just goes out there and networks, gets people together. And that's what we do with creativity. And the tag for Artiv is Unleash Your Creativity. And I can see why he's been able to join Artiv just at the start of this year and be part of the team, because he has that mentality of wanting to unleash creativity. That's something I want to keep doing. I've had a great experience the last 2 years doing that. Going forward, I'm going to be doing a lot more and just being more public and being more out there. The art should bleed. You have things to say, things to create, and you find ways to unleash that, find ways to put that to the market. And thank you all for listening. Guys, gals, and everybody else in between. That's it for now. Goodbye.